Hello and welcome to the Speaking Momentum. I am Maya and I am so happy you are here today. If you are watching this video, it means you want something powerful. You want to speak English, not just a little English, not just a few words at a restaurant or in a shop. You want real English, clear English, confident English. And I am here to tell you, you can do it. You absolutely can. Today we are going on a journey together, a very special journey. We are going to travel all the way from A1, which is the very beginning, the first step, all the way to C2, which is the highest level of English that exists. This is not a short trip, it is a full journey. But I promise you this, I will be with you every single step of the way. My name is Maya, and this is the Speaking Momentum. On this channel, we believe that English is not just a subject. It is not just grammar rules and vocabulary lists. English is a skill. And like any skill, like cooking, like driving, like playing the piano, it gets better with practice, with patience, and with the right guide. Today, I'm going to be your guide. Before we begin, I want you to take a slow breath. Relax your shoulders. This is a safe space. There is no test here. There is no teacher watching you with a red pen. There is only you, your ears, and the beautiful language called English. Now let me explain how this guide works. We have 10 chapters today. Each chapter covers a different level or a different skill in English. We go slowly, we explain everything clearly, we use simple words when possible, and when we use a big word, we explain it immediately. This guide is for you, whether you are an absolute beginner who is hearing English for the very first time, or whether you already speak some English and want to get much better. There is something in every chapter for every person. Are you ready? Let us begin. Let us build your speaking momentum. Chapter 1, A1, your first steps in English. Chapter 1, A1, your first steps in English. Every great speaker started at 0. Every single one. The person who speaks perfect English today, the news presenter, the professor, the business leader, they all started exactly where you are right now, at the beginning. A1 is the first level in the CE First system. CE First stands for Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. It is the international system that all language teachers and schools use to measure how good someone is at a language. The levels go like this: A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2. A1 is the beginning, C2 is mastery. Today we will walk through all of them. But right now, let us focus on A1. What does A1 mean? At A1, you can understand and use very simple phrases. You can say your name. You can say hello and goodbye. You can ask where something is. You can talk about yourself in a basic way. That is A1. Simple, clear, essential. Let us start with the most important thing in any language. Greetings. In English, when you meet someone for the first time, you say hello, or you can say hi. Hi is more informal. It means it is casual, relaxed, like talking to a friend. Hello is more formal. You can use it with anyone, even your boss or a new teacher. When someone says hello to you, what do you say? You say hello, or you can say hi, nice to meet you. That means I am happy to see you for the first time. It is a polite and warm thing to say. When you leave someone, you say goodbye or simply bye. Again, bye is more casual and goodbye is more formal. You can also say see you later. This means I will see you again another time. Or you can say take care, which means be safe, be well. Now let us learn how to introduce yourself. This is one of the first things you will ever need in English. My name is Maya. What is your name? I am from Pakistan. Where are you from? I am 25 years old. How old are you? I am a student, or I am a teacher, or I am a doctor. What do you do? These 4 sentences, my name is, I am from, I am this many years old, these 4 sentences are the foundation. They are the base. If you can say these 4 things in English, you have already started your journey. Let us now talk about numbers. Numbers are everywhere in English. They are in prices, addresses, phone numbers, dates, and ages. You need numbers every single day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are the first 10 numbers. Say them out loud with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. Now the teens. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Notice something, 13, 14, 15, 16, they all end in T-E-E-N. That is why we call people between 13 and 19 teenagers, because their age has the word teen in it. Then we have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And you can combine them, 21, 35, 47, 99. Now let us talk about colors. Colors are one of the most useful vocabulary groups for beginners. Red, blue, green, yellow, orange, purple, pink, white, black, brown, gray. These are the basic colors in English. Can you think of something in your house right now that is red? What color is your door? What color is the sky? When you connect new words to real things in your life, you remember them better. Now, let us talk about the verb to be. This is the most important verb in all of English. You use it every single day. I am, you are, he is, she is, it is, we are, they are. Say it again with me. I am, you are, he is, she is, it is, we are, they are. And now the negative, the opposite. I am not, you are not, he is not, she is not, it is not, we are not, they are not. In spoken English, we often shorten these. We say, I'm not, you're not, he's not, she's not, it's not, we're not, they're not. These shorter forms are called contractions. Let us practice with some sentences. I am happy. She is a doctor. They are students. We are from Brazil. It is cold today. He is not here. Are you ready? Yes, I am ready. And now, your first question in English, the most important question you can ask when you are learning a new language. What does that mean? Say it slowly. What does that mean? This question will save you 1,000 times. When you hear a word you do not understand, ask, what does that mean? People will always help you. They will always explain. Another very important question, can you say that again, please? This means, I did not understand, please repeat it. And people will not be annoyed. They will be happy to help. The word please makes everything more polite. Let me give you some essential A1 vocabulary before we move to the next chapter. These are words you will use every day. Yes, no, please, thank you, you're welcome, sorry, excuse me, I don't understand, I don't know. Can you help me? These 10 phrases are like a survival kit. If you know only these 10 things, you can already communicate in English. You can already get through a basic situation. Now, a word about pronunciation. In English, spelling and pronunciation are often different. This confuses many learners. For example, the word know is spelled K-N-O-W, but we do not say the K, we say no. The word write is spelled W-R-I-T-E, but we do not say the W. We say write. This can feel strange at first, but the more you listen, the more natural it becomes. My advice at the A1 level, listen more than you speak. Listen to English every day. Listen to slow English like this video. Let your ears get used to the sounds, the rhythm, the music of English. Your mouth will follow your ears. You have just completed chapter 1. You now know how to greet someone, introduce yourself, count numbers, name colors, use the verb to be, and ask for help. That is a real beginning. That is your momentum starting. Chapter 2, A2, Building Your Everyday English. Chapter 2, A2, Building Your Everyday English. Welcome to your second chapter. If chapter 1 was about planting a seed, chapter 2 is about watering it. At the A2 level, English starts to feel more alive. You can have a real short conversation. You can talk about your daily life. You can understand simple messages and texts. Let us start with something you do every single day, your daily routine. In the morning, I wake up at 7 o'clock. I get up, I take a shower, I get dressed, I eat breakfast, I leave the house, I go to work or I go to school. In the afternoon, I have lunch, I work, I study, I talk to my colleagues or my classmates. In the evening, I come home, I cook dinner, I eat dinner with my family, I watch television, I read, I go to bed, I sleep. Notice the verbs in those sentences. Wake up, take, get dressed, eat, leave, go, have, work, study, come, cook, watch, read, sleep. These are the action words of daily life. If you can use these verbs in simple sentences, you can describe your entire day in English. Now let us talk about the present simple tense. This is one of the most important grammar structures at the A2 level. We use the present simple to talk about things we do regularly, things we do every day, habits, routines, facts. I drink coffee every morning. She works in a hospital. They live in London. He speaks 3 languages. We watch football on Sundays. Notice something important. When we talk about he, she, or it, we add an S to the verb. I drink, but she drinks. I work, but he works. I live, but she lives. This S is very important. Many learners forget it, and that is okay at first, but try to remember it. For negative sentences in the present simple, we use do not or does not. I do not like spicy food. She does not speak French. They do not have a car. We do not work on weekends. And for questions, we put DO or DOs at the beginning. Do you like coffee? Does she speak English? Do they live nearby? Does he have a brother? Now let us talk about time. At the A2 level, you need to talk about when things happen. Today, yesterday, tomorrow, now, later, soon, every day, every week, every year, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, at night, on Monday, on the weekend, in January, in summer, in 2024. These time words will help you place your sentences in time. They answer the question, when? When did this happen? When will this happen? Let us also talk about the past simple tense, because at A2 you need to talk about things that already happened. Regular verbs in the past simple add ed at the end. Walk becomes walked, talk becomes talked, work becomes worked, live becomes lived, study becomes studied, watch becomes watched. So yesterday I walked to the shop, she talked to her friend, they worked late, we watched a film last night. But there are also irregular verbs, verbs that do not follow this rule. And unfortunately, many of the most common verbs are irregular. Let me give you some important ones. Go becomes went, come becomes came, eat becomes ate, drink becomes drank, see becomes saw, buy becomes bought, speak becomes spoke, write becomes wrote, read becomes read. Yes, it is spelled the same, but we say it differently. Read. Sleep becomes slept, know becomes knew, think becomes thought. These irregular verbs need to be memorized. I know that sounds difficult, but here's my advice. Learn 5 new irregular verbs every week. Use them in sentences about your own life. Last night I ate rice. I drank tea. I spoke with my mother. I thought about my future. Use real situations. Your brain remembers things that feel real. At the A2 level, you also need to be able to shop, order food, and ask for directions. These are practical survival skills. In a shop, how much does this cost? How much is this? I would like this, please. Can I pay by card? Do you have this in a different size? Do you have this in blue? In a restaurant, I would like to order, please. Can I see the menu? What do you recommend? I will have the chicken, please. Can I have the bill, please? Is this spicy? Asking for directions. Excuse me, where is the nearest bank? How do I get to the train station? Is it far from here? Can you show me on the map? And understanding directions. Go straight. Turn left, turn right, cross the road. It is on the left side, it is on the right side, it is opposite the park. It is next to the supermarket, it is near the school. It is about 5 minutes on foot. Now, let us talk about describing people and places. Because at A2, your descriptions start to grow. Describing people. She is tall, he is short. She has long brown hair, he has blue eyes. She is young, he is old, she is kind, he is funny, she is quiet, he is loud. Describing places. The city is big and busy. The village is small and quiet. The house is old but comfortable. The room is clean and bright. The park is beautiful in spring. One of the most beautiful things about the A2 level is this. You start to understand real English around you. Signs, simple texts, short emails, basic conversations. The language is no longer completely foreign. It is starting to become familiar. And that feeling, the feeling of beginning to understand, that is one of the best feelings in language learning. Hold on to that feeling, let it motivate you, because in the next chapter, things get even better. Chapter 3, B1, speaking with real confidence. Chapter 3, B1, speaking with real confidence. Congratulations, you have made it to B1. This is a very special level, and I want to take a moment to celebrate it with you because at B1, something changes. At B1, you can actually have a conversation, not just say a few phrases, a real conversation. You can express your opinions. You can describe experiences, you can talk about the past, the present, and the future. You can explain a problem and understand the answer. B1 is often called intermediate, the middle level, and it is a level where many learners get stuck. They reach B1 and they feel comfortable, so they stop pushing. But comfort is the enemy of growth. So today we are going to push through B1 and give you the tools to rise even higher. Let us start with something you do in every conversation, expressing opinions. In English, there are many ways to say what you think. Here are the most natural and common ones. I think that exercise is important. I believe that kindness makes the world better. In my opinion, reading is the best way to learn. I feel that this problem is very serious. As far as I know, the shop closes at 9. It seems to me that she is not happy. These expressions are your voice. They are how you share your thoughts in English. Practice them, use them, say what you think. Now let us talk about agreeing and disagreeing politely. In English conversation, you often need to respond to what someone else has said. To agree, I agree. Exactly, that's right, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think so too, you have a point, that makes sense. To disagree politely, I'm not sure about that. I see your point, but I understand what you mean, but I think it depends. That's interesting, but I think actually I would say the opposite with respect. I disagree. Notice that disagreeing politely is a skill. You do not just say you are wrong. In English, especially in professional or formal settings, you soften your disagreement. You show that you understand the other person's view before you give your own. Now let us talk about 3 very important tenses at the B1 level: the present perfect, the past continuous, and the future with will and going to. The present perfect, we form it with have or has plus the past participle. I have lived here for 5 years. She has visited France 3 times. They have never eaten sushi. We have just finished the project. When do we use the present perfect? We use it when we talk about experiences in our life, without saying exactly when. We use it for things that started in the past and are still true now. And we use it with words like ever, never, already, just, yet, still, for, since. Have you ever been to London? Yes, I have. I have been there twice. Have you finished your homework yet? No, I haven't finished it yet. She has already left. I have lived in the city since 2015. He has worked there for 10 years. The past continuous. We form it with was or ware plus the verb ending in ing. I was reading when you called. She was sleeping when the alarm rang. They were talking loudly during the film. We were having dinner at 8 o'clock. We use the past continuous for actions that were in progress, happening at a specific moment in the past. It describes the background of a story. Think of it like a painting. The past continuous is the background, and the past simple is when something new happens in the foreground. I was walking home when it started to rain. She was cooking when the phone rang. They were watching TV when the power went out. Now, the future, in English, there are 2 main ways to talk about the future, and they have different meanings. Will is used for spontaneous decisions we make right now in this moment. It is also used for predictions and promises. I will help you, don't worry. I think it will rain tomorrow. I will never forget this day. She will probably arrive late. Going to is used for plans and intentions, things we have already decided to do before this moment. I am going to visit my parents next weekend. She is going to study medicine. We are going to move to a new apartment next month. They are going to get married in June. Both are correct, but they have different feelings. Will is spontaneous and immediate. Going to is planned and intentional. At the B1 level, you also need to be able to tell a story. Storytelling is one of the most important communication skills in the world. People remember stories. They connect through stories. So let us practice. Story connecting words. These are words that link your sentences and make your story flow. First, I got up early. Then I had breakfast. After that, I went to the office. Suddenly, my phone rang. When I answered, it was my friend. Finally, we met for coffee. In the end, it was a wonderful day. Try to use these connecting words every time you tell a story in English. They make your speaking sound much more natural and organized. Let us also talk about one very important but often difficult area, asking questions. In English, questions have a specific structure. They are not just statements with a question mark. With the verb to be, are you tired? Is he coming? Were they late? With other verbs, we use an auxiliary verb, do, does, or did. Do you like tea? Does she know the answer? Did they arrive on time? With question words, who, what, where, when, why, how, where do you live? What are you doing? Why did he leave? How much does it cost? Who told you that? When is the meeting? These question words are called WH questions, and they open up conversation. They invite the other person to speak more. When you use them, you show real interest, and people love to feel heard. Finally, for this chapter, let us talking about feelings, because feelings are a huge part of human communication, and at B1, you should be able to express them. I feel happy. I am excited. I am nervous. I feel tired. I am worried about something. I feel a little confused. I am really disappointed. I feel relieved. I am grateful. I feel proud. And beyond just naming the feeling, at B1 you can explain it. I am excited because I got a new job. I feel nervous because I have a presentation tomorrow. I am disappointed because the plan changed. Because is one of the most powerful words in the English language. It connects a feeling or a fact to a reason. It shows your thinking. Use it often. Chapter 4, B1 to B2, the art of conversation. Chapter 4, B1 to B2, the art of conversation. Many people learn English from books. They study grammar, they memorize vocabulary, they pass tests. But then they cannot have a real conversation. They freeze, they go blank, the words disappear. This is one of the most common problems in language learning, and it has a name. It is called the gap between passive knowledge and active speaking. You know the English, but you cannot use it in the moment. This chapter is about closing that gap. This chapter is about making your English alive. The first thing I want to teach you is this. Conversation is not about being perfect. Conversation is about being present. It is about listening, responding, and connecting. Perfect grammar matters, but connection matters more. So how do we become better conversationalists in English? Tip number 1, learn conversational fillers. Fillers are small words and phrases that speakers use to think while they speak. They keep the conversation flowing. They are very natural, and they are used by native speakers all the time. Common English fillers. Well, let me think. Actually, you know, I mean, so, right. The thing is, that's a good question. Let me see. When you are asked a difficult question, instead of going silent or saying, you can say, well, that's a good question. Let me think for a moment. This sounds confident and natural. It gives you time to think. It keeps the conversation alive. Tip number 2, learn how to keep a conversation going. Ask follow-up questions. When someone tells you something, ask more about it. For example, I went to Spain last summer. A simple response is, oh, nice. But a conversation extending response is, oh, really? How long were you there? What was your favorite part? Did you speak any Spanish? Follow-up questions show interest, they show that you are listening, and they take the pressure off you because the other person does the talking while you think of your next sentence. Tip number 3, learn how to paraphrase. To paraphrase means to say the same thing in a different way. In a real conversation, you sometimes cannot remember the exact word, and that is okay. You can describe it instead. For example, you want to say the word umbrella, but you cannot remember it. Instead of stopping the conversation, you say, it's that thing you use when it rains. You hold it above your head. The other person will understand immediately, and they might even say the word for you. That is how real communication works. Tip number 4, listen actively. Active listening is different from passive listening. Passive listening is hearing words. Active listening is understanding the meaning, the emotion, and the intention behind the words. When someone speaks to you in English, listen not just to the words, but also to the tone. How do they say it? Are they happy, sad, angry, excited? English speakers communicate a lot through tone. A word can mean very different things depending on how it is said. For example, the word fine. If someone asks, "How are you?" and you say fine with a warm smile, it means you are good. But if you say fine in a flat, cold voice after an argument, it means you are not fine at all. The word is the same, the meaning is completely different. Tip number 5, speak in chunks, not word by word. Fluent speakers do not say individual words, they say phrases or chunks. English has many fixed phrases that go together naturally. Instead of saying each word separately and carefully, you learn to say, "What do you mean?" as one smooth chunk, or "I was wondering if," or "it depends on," or "as a matter of fact," or "by the way," or "to be honest." These chunks are called lexical chunks. Learning them as complete units, not as individual words, is one of the fastest ways to become fluent, because fluency is not about knowing every word. Fluency is about knowing the right combinations of words. Let me give you a list of conversational chunks that will immediately make you sound more fluent. To introduce a topic, have you heard about? Did you know that? Speaking of which, that reminds me of. To change topic, anyway, by the way, oh, before I forget, on another note, to buy time, let me think about that. That's interesting. How can I put this? It's hard to explain, but to check understanding, do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Are you following me? You know what I'm saying? To clarify something, what I mean is, in other words, to put it differently, what I am trying to say is, now let us talk about small talk. In English-speaking cultures, small talk is very important. Small talk is light, friendly conversation about everyday topics. It is not deep, it is not serious, but it builds relationships. Common small talk topics: the weather, sports, movies or TV shows, food, travel, weekend plans, work in a general way, news, but avoid very political topics with people you do not know well. Examples of small talk: lovely weather today, isn't it? Have you seen any good films recently? Are you doing anything nice this weekend? How was your weekend? Have you tried that new restaurant on the main street? Small talk might seem unimportant, but it is not. Small talk is how people in English-speaking cultures warm up. It is how they show friendliness before serious conversation. If you can do small talk well, people will feel comfortable around you, and that opens many doors. Let me also talk about telephone and digital English. In today's world, you will often communicate in English by phone, text, or email. This has its own specific language. On the phone, "Hello, this is Maya speaking. Could I speak to John, please? I'm calling about..." Could you hold on one moment? I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I'll call back later. Thank you for your time, goodbye. In messages and emails, "Hi there, hope you are well. Just wanted to let you know. I was wondering if..." Please let me know. Looking forward to hearing from you. Best regards. Notice the difference between informal messages, "Hi there, just wanted to," and more formal emails, "I was wondering if," "please let me know." At B1, B2, you start to understand this difference between formal and informal register. We will talk much more about this in later chapters. The biggest lesson of this chapter is this: conversation is a skill, not a talent. Some people seem naturally good at it, but really they have just practiced more. They have failed more. They have felt embarrassed more. And each time they kept going. So speak, even when you make mistakes. Especially when you make mistakes. Every mistake is information. It tells you what to learn next. Chapter 5, B2, Advanced Grammar Made Simple. Chapter 5, B2, Advanced Grammar Made Simple. We have arrived at B2. This is a major milestone. At B2, you can understand complex written and spoken English. You can interact fluently. You can produce clear, detailed text. You can understand most TV programs and films without too much effort. B2 is what many people call upper intermediate. It is the level where English starts to feel like your own language, not just something you are learning, but something you are using. In this chapter, we are going to look at some grammar structures that are very important at this level. I know some people hear the word grammar and they want to run, but I promise you I will make this clear, simple, and useful. Grammar is not the enemy. Grammar is a tool, and tools are only difficult until you learn how to use them. Let us begin with conditional sentences. Conditionals are one of the most important grammar areas in English. They help you talk about possibilities, hypothetical situations, and consequences. There are four main conditionals. Let us go through each one. The zero conditional. We use this for facts and things that are always true. The structure is if plus present simple, present simple. For example, if you heat water, it boils. If it rains, the ground gets wet. If you do not sleep enough, you feel tired. The first conditional, we use this for real possibilities in the future. The structure is if plus present simple, will plus base verb. For example, if it rains tomorrow, I will stay home. If you study hard, you will pass the exam. If she calls, I will answer. The second conditional, we use this for imaginary or hypothetical situations in the present or future, things that are not true right now or are very unlikely. The structure is if plus past simple, would plus base verb. For example, if I had $1 million, I would travel the world. If I were you, I would apologize. If she lived closer, we would see each other more. The third conditional, we use this for imaginary situations in the past. Things that did not happen, but we imagine the alternative. The structure is if plus past perfect, would have plus past participle. For example, if I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. If she had arrived on time, she would have met him. If we had known, we would have come earlier. Notice the difference in feeling. The first conditional is real. It could happen. The second conditional is imaginary. It is unlikely or not true. The third conditional is impossible. It is about the past and cannot be changed. Now let us talk about the passive voice. The passive voice is used very often in English, especially in formal, academic, and news contexts. In the active voice, the subject does the action. The chef cooked the meal. The company launched the product. Scientists discovered a new species. In the passive voice, the focus is on what happened, not who did it. The subject receives the action. The meal was cooked by the chef. The product was launched. A new species was discovered. We form the passive with the verb to be plus the past participle. English is spoken in over 50 countries. The report has been written. The bridge is being built. The rules will be changed. We use the passive when we do not know who did something, when it is not important who did it, or when we want to sound more formal and objective. For example, in a news article, a man was arrested this morning. 3 people were injured in the accident. The building was destroyed by fire. These sentences feel factual, neutral, and professional. Next, let us look at modal verbs in depth. You know basic modal verbs already, can, will, must, but at B2 we use a fuller range: could, might, should, ought to, may, would, shall, need to, have to. Must versus have to. Both mean obligation, but there is a difference. Must comes from you. It is your personal decision or internal feeling. I must call my mother. I must stop eating so much sugar. Have to comes from an external rule. I have to wear a uniform at work. You have to pay taxes. She has to wake up early because of her job. Should versus ought to. Both give advice. You should drink more water. You ought to apologize. They are similar in meaning, but should is used much more in everyday speech. Might and may for possibility. It might rain tonight. She may not come. There might be a delay. These express uncertainty. They say maybe yes, maybe no. Could for ability in the past and for polite requests. When I was young, I could run very fast. Could you open the window, please? Could you help me for a moment? Now let us look at relative clauses. These are clauses that give more information about a noun. They connect 2 ideas into one sentence. They make your English sound much more sophisticated. The man who lives next door is very kind. WHO is used for people. The book that I read last week was brilliant. That is used for things. The city where I grew up is very small. Where is used for places. The day when we met was very special. When is used for times. The reason why I came here is important. Why is used for reasons. You can also use which for things. The film, which was released last year, won 3 awards. Notice the commas. When the relative clause is extra information that could be removed, we use commas. This is called a non-defining relative clause. When the information is essential, we cannot remove it. We do not use commas. This is a defining relative clause. And finally, for grammar in this chapter, reported speech. When we repeat what someone else said, we usually change the tense back 1 step. This is called backshifting. She said, I am tired. We report it as, she said that she was tired. He said, I will call you tomorrow. We report, he said that he would call me the next day. They said, we have finished. We report, they said that they had finished. Notice how present tense becomes past, will becomes would, and have becomes had. Also notice that time expressions change. Tomorrow becomes the next day. Yesterday becomes the day before. Now becomes then. These grammar structures, conditionals, passive voice, modal verbs, relative clauses, reported speech, they are the foundations of sophisticated English communication. When you use them naturally, your language feels mature, it feels educated, it feels fluent. Practice each one separately, then mix them together. That is how grammar becomes part of your natural speech. Chapter 6, B2 to C1, vocabulary that transforms your English. Chapter 6, B2 to C1, vocabulary that transforms your English. There is an old saying in language learning, grammar is the skeleton of a language, but vocabulary is the flesh. You can have perfect grammar and say very little, but with rich vocabulary, even with some grammar errors, you can express almost anything. At the B2 to C1 level, vocabulary becomes your greatest power. It is the difference between saying it was bad and it was catastrophic, between she was happy and she was ecstatic, between he spoke quietly and he spoke in hushed, careful tones. In this chapter, we are going to explore 4 main areas of advanced vocabulary: collocations, idioms, phrasal verbs, and academic vocabulary. Let us start with collocations. A collocation is a pair or group of words that naturally go together. Native speakers use them automatically without thinking, but for learners they can feel strange and unpredictable. For example, in English, you make a decision, not do a decision. You take a risk, not do a risk. You do your homework, not make your homework. You make a mistake, not do a mistake. Can you see the pattern? There is not always a logical rule. It is just how the language has evolved. The best way to learn collocations is to notice them when you read and listen, and to record them in groups. Let me give you some important verb-noun collocations. Make a decision, make an effort, make progress, make a promise, make an exception, make a complaint. Take a break, take a chance, take advice, take responsibility, take action, take care. Do damage, do harm, do business, do research, do someone a favor. Have a conversation, have an argument, have a breakdown, have doubts, have second thoughts. Adjective noun collocations. A strong argument, a weak excuse, heavy traffic, light rain, a deep breath, a quick look, a brief summary, a sharp increase, a slight decrease, a significant change, a major problem, a minor issue. When you learn new vocabulary, do not just learn single words. Learn the word in its natural company. What verb goes with it? What adjective? This is how native speakers actually learn, through exposure, through context, through repetition and natural use. Now, phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are one of the most challenging and most essential aspects of English vocabulary. They are combinations of a verb plus 1 or 2 small words called particles, usually prepositions or adverbs like up, down, on, off, out, in, over, through. The problem with phrasal verbs is that their meaning is often completely different from the meanings of the individual words. For example, give up does not mean to give something upward. It means to stop trying. Look up can mean to search for information in a reference book or online. Break down can mean to stop working or to become very upset emotionally. Let me give you some of the most common and useful phrasal verbs in groups. Phrasal verbs about communication. Bring up, to mention a topic. I want to bring something up in the meeting. Speak up, to talk louder or to say something brave. She spoke up for her colleague. Turn down, to refuse. He turned down the job offer. Put across, to communicate an idea. She put her point across clearly. Come across, to seem or to find unexpectedly. He comes across as very confident. I came across an old photo yesterday. Phrasal verbs about problems. Deal with, to handle a situation. How do you deal with stress? Figure out, to find the solution. I need to figure out what happened. Run into, to encounter a problem. We ran into some difficulties. Get through, to pass a difficult time. We will get through this together. Come up, to arise unexpectedly. An urgent issue came up at work. Phrasal verbs about daily life. Wake up, get up, set up, to arrange or establish. Pick up, to collect something or someone. Drop off, to leave something or someone at a place. Look after, to take care of. Put off, to postpone. We put off the meeting until next week. Carry on, to continue. Carry on with your work. Now, idioms. Idioms are expressions where the meaning is completely different from the literal word-by-word meaning. English is full of them. They appear in everyday speech, in films, in newspapers, and in business conversations. Let me give you some common and useful English idioms with their meanings. Hit the nail on the head, to say exactly the right thing. She really hit the nail on the head with that comment. Beat around the bush, to avoid getting to the main point. Stop beating around the bush and tell me what happened. The ball is in your court. It is your turn to make a decision or take action. I've given you all the information. The ball is in your court now. Under the weather, to feel slightly ill or low in energy. I'm feeling a bit under the weather today. Bite off more than you can chew. To take on more than you can manage. I think I've bitten off more than I can chew with this project. Let the cat out of the bag. To accidentally reveal a secret. He let the cat out of the bag about the surprise party. See eye to eye, to agree with someone. We don't always see eye to eye, but we respect each other. Add fuel to the fire, to make a bad situation worse. His comment only added fuel to the fire. On the fence, to be undecided. I'm still on the fence about which option to choose. My advice with idioms: do not try to learn too many at once. Learn a few each week, and more importantly, use them. Find moments in conversation to use them. The first time you naturally use an idiom and someone understands, you will feel a wonderful surge of confidence. Now let us talk about academic and formal vocabulary. This is sometimes called the academic word list. It is a collection of words that appear frequently in academic texts, professional writing, and formal speech. Knowing these words is essential if you want to study at an English-speaking university, read professional articles, or work in a formal environment. Important academic vocabulary with simple definitions. Analyse, to examine something carefully and in detail. Establish, to set up or prove. Significant, important, or large in meaning. Consequently, as a result of something. Furthermore, in addition to what was said. Nevertheless, despite what was just said. Assume, to believe something is true without proof. Concept, an idea or principle. Appropriate, suitable for a particular situation. Complex, complicated, with many parts. Demonstrate, to show or prove clearly. Evaluate, to judge the quality or value of something. Indicate, to show or suggest. Specific, particular, and exact. Theory, an explanation for something that needs proof. These words give your English an educated, sophisticated quality. They are the words of essays, reports, presentations, and serious discussions. One final point on vocabulary in this chapter: do not just study words in lists. Study words in context. Read English books, articles, and blogs. Watch English documentaries and films. Follow English-speaking people on social media. Notice the words they use, the way they combine words, the images and comparisons they make. Your vocabulary grows fastest when it is living, when it is breathing, in real use. Chapter 7, C1, The Psychology of English Fluency. Chapter 7, C1, The Psychology of English Fluency. We have entered C1. This is advanced English. At C1, you can understand long, demanding texts. You can express yourself fluently and spontaneously. You can use English effectively for social, academic, and professional purposes. You can produce clear, well-structured, detailed text on complex subjects. But here is what many people do not tell you. By the time you reach C1, the main barrier to progress is no longer grammar. It is no longer vocabulary. It is psychology. The biggest obstacles at the advanced level are these: overthinking, perfectionism, translation in your head, self-consciousness, and fear of making mistakes in front of others. These are mental blocks, and mental blocks require mental tools to remove them. So in this chapter, we're going to talk about the inner game of English fluency, the part that happens in your mind. Let us start with the most powerful concept in language fluency, thinking in English. Most intermediate learners still translate. When they hear English, they hear it in English, translate it to their native language in their head, think of a response in their native language, translate that response back to English, and then speak. This process is slow and it creates a permanent delay. Truly fluent speakers do not translate. They think directly in the language. They feel the words. They hear an English sentence and their brain responds in English without a detour through another language. How do you reach this point? How do you start thinking in English? Step 1, start with your inner voice. Your inner voice is the little voice in your head that runs all day, commenting, narrating, planning, thinking. Start speaking to yourself in English. When you are walking to work, think in English. What do I see? A busy street, many cars, people walking fast. It looks like rain. I hope the meeting does not last too long. Start small. You do not need to think in English about everything. Just a few minutes a day, a few observations, a few thoughts narrated in English. This trains your brain to use English directly without translation. Step 2, dream in English. This might sound strange. You cannot control your dreams, but here is something interesting. When you immerse yourself deeply in a language during the day, your brain often processes it while you sleep. People who study English intensely often start dreaming in English within a few weeks. This is a wonderful sign. It means the language is going deeper. It means it is becoming part of you. Step 3, stop aiming for perfect sentences. In natural conversation, nobody speaks in perfectly formed sentences. Native speakers make grammar mistakes, they repeat words, they change direction mid-sentence, they use informal structures. Communication is not a formal exam. It is an exchange of ideas and feelings between human beings. Perfectionism is the enemy of fluency. When you aim for the perfect sentence before you speak, you freeze, you hesitate, you lose the flow of conversation. Instead, aim for communication. Start speaking. The sentence will find its shape as you go. Step 4, develop your English identity. This sounds a little philosophical, but bear with me. Research in language learning shows that when people develop a second language identity, a sense of self in the new language, they progress much faster. Your English self might be slightly different from your native language self. Perhaps more confident, perhaps more direct, perhaps funnier or more formal. And that is completely normal. Many bilingual people describe this. They feel slightly different in each language. Embrace your English self. Give them room to grow. Let them be curious, open, willing to fail. Your English identity does not need to be perfect. It just needs to be present. Step 5, understand the plateau. The plateau is the period where it feels like you are not improving. You study, you practice, but you feel stuck at the same level. This is normal. Every language learner hits the plateau. The key is to not confuse lack of visible progress with lack of real progress. During the plateau, your brain is actually doing deep consolidation. It is organizing, sorting, and strengthening everything you have learned. Like a builder who stops adding bricks to reinforce the foundation, progress continues invisibly, and then suddenly you break through. You find that things that were difficult are now easy, that sentences come naturally, that listening is effortless. This breakthrough is coming for you, but only if you keep going through the plateau. Step 6, expand your English exposure. At C1, you cannot rely only on language courses and textbooks. You need to bathe in the language. Read English novels, not just simple ones, but the ones that challenge you. Read quality journalism in English, The Guardian, The Atlantic, BBC News. Listen to English podcasts on topics you love. Watch original English films and TV series without subtitles, or with English subtitles, not translation subtitles. The more English you consume, the faster your brain rewires for the language. Exposure is the magic ingredient. It is the thing that all fluent speakers have in common. Now let me talk about tone and social awareness in English because these are very important at the C1 level. English communication, especially in professional and social contexts, is governed by an invisible but powerful system of tone, register, and implication. What you say is important, but how you say it and what you choose not to say are equally important. For example, in many English-speaking cultures, especially British culture, people often say the opposite of what they mean as a form of politeness. That's quite interesting, can mean, I don't agree with you. We should do this again sometime can mean, I had a nice time, but don't expect me to arrange it. It was a bit of a challenge often means it was a total disaster. This kind of understatement, saying less than you mean to soften a message, is everywhere in English. Learning to recognize it and use it is a mark of true cultural fluency. On the other hand, American English tends to be more direct, more enthusiastic, more openly positive. That's an amazing idea. Absolutely. Awesome. These expressions sound very natural in American contexts, whereas they might feel slightly over the top in more reserved British settings. Understanding these cultural differences is not about changing who you are. It is about being aware of the room you are in, about calibrating your communication to your audience, and that is the mark of a truly sophisticated communicator in any language. Chapter 8, C1, the power of nuance and precision. Chapter 8, C1, the power of nuance and precision. Nuance, this is one of my favorite words in the English language. Nuance means a subtle difference in meaning, tone, or feeling. A shade of difference, not black or white, but all the beautiful gray in between. At the C1 level, English becomes less about rules and more about nuance. Less about what is correct and more about what is exact, what is precise, what is true. Let me give you a powerful example. Look at these words. They all mean roughly the same thing, to look at something, but each one is different. See? Look at, watch, gaze at, stare at, glimpse, glance at, peer at, examine, study, observe, witness, notice, spot. See is passive, you see something without trying. Look at is active, you direct your eyes on purpose. Watch is to observe something moving or changing over time. Gaze is to look at something beautiful, calmly, with wonder. Stare is to look for a long time, possibly rudely. Glimpse is to see something only for a very brief moment. Glance is to look quickly and then away. Peer is to look carefully at something that is hard to see. Examine is to look at something very closely and deliberately. Observe is to watch carefully and systematically. All these words mean look at something, but each one paints a different picture. Each one says something different about the person, the action, and the feeling. This is nuance. And mastering nuance is what separates a competent speaker from a truly impressive one. Let us explore this with emotions. There is a big world of emotional vocabulary in English beyond happy, sad, and angry. Instead of happy, joyful, content, elated, blissful, pleased, cheerful, thrilled, overjoyed, delighted, grateful, fulfilled, at peace. Instead of sad, melancholy, heartbroken, devastated, despondent, forlorn, wistful, grief-stricken, sorrowful, disheartened, crestfallen, blue down. Instead of angry, frustrated, furious, infuriated, irritated, annoyed, exasperated, resentful, bitter, outraged, livid, indignant, provoked. Instead of afraid, anxious, nervous, apprehensive, terrified, petrified, uneasy, wary, alarmed, dread-filled, startled, panicked, on edge. When you use these precise emotional words, you do not just communicate more clearly, you also make the other person feel more heard, more understood. Because the right word can say exactly what a person is feeling when they could not find the word themselves. And when someone feels truly understood, the connection deepens. Now let us talk about hedging language. Hedging is one of the most important features of sophisticated English communication. To hedge means to express something with uncertainty or qualification. To not claim more than you know. Compare these two sentences. Sentence A, sugar causes diabetes. Sentence B, Research suggests that high sugar consumption may be linked to an increased risk of type 2 diabetes. Sentence A is too certain, too blunt, and actually too simple to be scientifically accurate. Sentence B hedges. It uses suggests, maybe, linked to increased risk. It is more careful, more honest, and more intellectually credible. Common hedging expressions. It seems that there is evidence to suggest that. It appears to be the case that. It could be argued that. There is a possibility that. In many cases, to some extent, under certain conditions, one might argue that. It is not unreasonable to suggest that. Hedging is not weakness, it is not vagueness, it is honesty, it is intellectual respect for complexity. It shows that you understand that the world is not always simple, that things have conditions, contexts, and exceptions. Sophisticated speakers hedge. They qualify their statements, they acknowledge other possibilities, and this makes their words more trustworthy, more credible, and more interesting to listen to. Now let us explore emphasis and contrast, because at the C1 level, you need to know how to structure your ideas powerfully. Emphasis, making something strong and clear, not only, but also, not just, but, above all, especially, in particular, most importantly. It is worth noting that the key point is, what is significant here is, what makes this remarkable is. Contrast, showing the difference between two ideas. However, nevertheless, on the other hand, in contrast, while, whereas, despite the fact that, even though, although, contrary to expectations, surprisingly, paradoxically, comparison, showing similarity, similarly, likewise, in the same way, just as, so too, comparable to, parallel to, cause and effect, showing why something happens as a result. Therefore, consequently, for this reason, this led to, this resulted in, owing to, due to, in response to, as a consequence. These are the connective tissues of sophisticated English. They show the relationships between ideas. They show how your mind organizes information. And when a listener or reader follows these connections, they feel the satisfaction of clear, logical communication. Let me also talk about the art of asking advanced questions. At C1, your questions should not just gather information, they should open dialogue. They should invite reflection. They should show intellectual engagement. Basic question, what do you think about this? Advanced question, what would you say is the most significant factor here? Basic question, did it go well? Advanced question, looking back, what would you have done differently? Basic question, why? Advanced question, what do you think is driving that pattern? Basic question, what is the solution? Advanced question, what would be the implications of that approach in the longer term? See the difference? Advanced questions invite the other person to think more deeply. They show genuine curiosity and analytical thinking, and they make conversations much more interesting for both people. One last thing for this chapter, the power of silence. In most languages and cultures, silence in a conversation can feel uncomfortable. People rush to fill it. But in English, especially in academic and professional settings, silence is respected. Taking a moment before you answer shows that you are thinking seriously, that you are not just saying the first thing that comes to mind. Do not be afraid of a moment of silence. It is not a failure, it is a sign of thoughtfulness, and thoughtfulness is one of the most admirable qualities a speaker can have. Chapter 9, C2, Speaking Like a Master. Chapter 9, C2, Speaking Like a Master. We have arrived at the summit. C2, this is the highest level of English proficiency. At C2, you can understand virtually everything you hear or read in English. You can summarize information from different spoken and written sources. You can express yourself spontaneously, very fluently and precisely. You can distinguish finer shades of meaning even in the most complex situations. I want to be honest with you about C2. It is not simply a level you reach. It is a level you inhabit. C2 English speakers do not think about English anymore, they just use it. The way you use your native language, without effort, without self-monitoring, without translation. C2 is not about knowing more words or more grammar rules. By this point, you have most of the tools. C2 is about depth, about resonance, about the ability to not just communicate, but to move people with language, to inspire, to persuade, to comfort, to entertain. In this chapter, we will explore rhetoric, metaphor, advanced stylistic devices, and the elements of truly masterful English expression. Let us begin with rhetoric. Rhetoric is the art of effective speaking and writing. It is how great speakers throughout history, Churchill, Obama, Martin Luther King, have moved audiences. And while you may never speak in front of thousands of people, these rhetorical techniques make any communication more powerful. The rule of three. We group things in threes because it feels natural and satisfying to the human brain. Think of some famous phrases: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Blood, sweat, and tears. Friends, Romans, countrymen. 3 items, always 3. 2 feels incomplete. 4 feels too many. 3 is perfect. Use the rule of 3 in your speech. This approach is efficient, practical, and cost-effective. She was passionate, dedicated, and absolutely tireless. The proposal has 3 key advantages. It saves time, it reduces cost, and it improves quality. Repetition for emphasis. Deliberate repetition of a word or phrase is a powerful rhetorical tool. Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream," not once, but 8 times in his famous speech. Each repetition built more power, more emotion, more impact. In professional and academic English, we need change, not incremental change, not minor change, fundamental change. This kind of repetition with variation is enormously persuasive. The rhetorical question. A rhetorical question is a question you ask not to get an answer, but to make a point. Can we really afford to ignore this problem? How many more times must we make the same mistake? Is this the kind of future we want to build? These questions invite the audience to think. They draw people in. They create engagement. Contrast and antithesis, putting 2 opposing ideas side by side. Not the end of the beginning, but the beginning of the end. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Contrast creates impact. It highlights both sides by placing them together. Now let us talk about metaphor. A metaphor takes a concrete image and uses it to describe something abstract. It makes abstract ideas vivid, memorable, and emotional. Instead of, "This project is going through a difficult period," use, "This project is in a storm. We need to navigate it carefully." Instead of, "Learning English is hard," use, "Learning English is climbing a mountain. Difficult, exhausting, but the view from the top makes every step worthwhile." Instead of, "She is a very energetic person," use, "She is a force of nature." English is full of dead metaphors. Metaphors so common we no longer notice them. The foot of the mountain, the eye of the needle, the mouth of a river, the heart of the matter, a sharp mind, a bright future, a dark mood. These are all originally metaphors that have become fixed expressions. When you use a fresh, original metaphor, it wakes people up. It creates a new image in their mind, and they remember it. Now, advanced register flexibility. At C2, you can move seamlessly between formal, neutral, and informal English depending on the situation. This is called register, and the ability to shift register effortlessly is one of the defining marks of a master speaker. A formal register. I wish to draw your attention to a matter of considerable importance. A neutral register. I want to tell you about something important. An informal register. Hey, there's something you really need to hear. Same message, 3 completely different registers. Knowing which to use and using it naturally requires deep understanding of context, relationship, and purpose. By C2, this should feel instinctive. Let us also talk about humor in English. This is often considered the most difficult aspect of any language to master, because humor depends on so much: culture, timing, wordplay, shared references, and tone. English humor, especially British humor, often relies on irony, understatement, self-deprecation, and wordplay. American humor tends to be more direct, more enthusiastic, and more celebratory. Irony says the opposite of what it means. After a disaster, well, that went brilliantly. Understatement says less than the reality. Describing a hurricane, it was a bit breezy. Self-deprecation makes fun of yourself. I'm a terrible cook, even my toast needs therapy. Wordplay uses the sounds or multiple meanings of words for comic effect. The best way to develop English humor is to watch comedians, sitcoms, and satirical programs in English. British comedies like Fawlty Towers, Black Books, or The Office teach you enormous amounts about irony and timing. American stand-up comedy teaches you storytelling and directness. But remember, humor is risky territory in any language. If you are unsure, it is better to be warm and genuine than to attempt a joke that might not land. Warmth is always safe. Humor, at its best, is a gift. And like any gift, it should be given with care. C2 English is also about understanding subtext, what is not said. Reading the space between the words. Recognizing when someone is uncomfortable. When they disagree but are being polite. When a silence means more than any word could. This level of communication is not just linguistic, it is human. And that ultimately is what mastery of any language means, not just knowing the words, but understanding the people who speak them. Chapter 10, The Complete Learner, Your Path Forward. Chapter 10, The Complete Learner, Your Path Forward. We have walked a long road together today, from the very first hello to the heights of masterful expression, from A1 to C2, from your first word to nuance, rhetoric, and the spaces between words. In this final chapter, I want to bring everything together. I want to talk about what it means to be a complete English learner in 2026, and I want to give you a clear, practical roadmap for your continued journey. First, let me tell you something that I believe with my whole heart. Every person on this planet is capable of learning English well. Every single person. The idea that some people are good at languages and others are not, this idea is mostly a myth. What separates successful language learners from unsuccessful ones is not natural talent, it is strategy, consistency, and mindset. Let me give you the strategies that work, the ones proven by research and by the experience of millions of successful language learners. Strategy 1, consistent daily practice. You do not need to study for 3 hours every day, but you do need to engage with English every single day. Even 15 minutes of focused practice is more valuable than a 3-hour session once a week. Consistency is everything. The brain learns through repetition, through rhythm, through regular encounter. Make English part of your daily routine. Before breakfast, during your commute, at lunch, before bed, every day, every day, every day. Strategy 2, immersion. We talked about this, but let me emphasize it again. Immersion does not mean moving to England or America. Immersion means surrounding yourself with the language as much as possible in your current life. Change your phone language to English. Follow English language accounts on social media. Listen to English music and try to understand the lyrics. Read the news in English. Watch English content without translation subtitles. The more time your brain spends in English, the faster it rewires, the faster it starts to feel natural. Strategy 3, use a vocabulary system. Do not try to memorize long lists of words. Use a spaced repetition system, an app like Anki or Quizlet. These apps show you words at increasing intervals so you review them just before you forget them. This is scientifically proven to be the most efficient way to build vocabulary. 20 new words per day, reviewed with spaced repetition, means over 7,000 new words in a year. That is transformative. Strategy 4, find speaking practice. Speaking is a physical skill. Like any physical skill, it requires practice in real time. Find a conversation partner, a tutor, or a language exchange. Apps like italki, Tandem, or HelloTalk connect you with native speakers and other learners. If you cannot find anyone, speak to yourself, narrate your day, record yourself, and listen back. Do not be afraid to hear your own voice. That is how you catch your mistakes and improve. Strategy 5, keep a learning journal. Write in English every day. It does not need to be long or perfect. Even 3 sentences. What did I do today? What did I feel? What was one interesting thing I noticed? Writing forces you to use grammar and vocabulary actively. It shows you where your weaknesses are, and reading back your entries from months ago shows you how much you have grown. This is deeply motivating. Strategy 6, learn about the culture. Language is inseparable from culture. The English language carries within it centuries of history, literature, humor, values, and ways of thinking. To truly master English, you need to understand the cultures that shaped it. Read great English literature, even simplified versions at first. Dickens, Jane Austen, George Orwell, Ernest Hemingway, Toni Morrison, Kazuo Ishiguro. These writers shaped the English language. They created the images, the expressions, the ways of thinking that still echo in everyday English today. Watch English history documentaries. Learn about the British Empire, the American Revolution, the World Wars, the Civil Rights Movement. These events created the cultural references that English speakers use every day without even thinking about it. Strategy 7, celebrate your progress. This is the one that most people forget. Language learning is a long journey. It takes years. There will be difficult days. Days when you feel like you have not improved. Days when you cannot remember words that you knew perfectly before. Days when you feel embarrassed or frustrated. On those days, stop and look back, not at where you want to be, but at where you started. If you started at A1 and you are now at B1, you have done something remarkable. You have built a bridge between two worlds. You have expanded your mind. You have opened doors that were closed before. That deserves celebration. Track your progress. Record yourself speaking every month and compare. You will be amazed. Growth in language learning is like watching a child grow up. You do not notice it day by day, but you look at a photo from 2 years ago and you are stunned by the difference. Now let me also address a very common question I receive. How long does it take to go from A1 to C2? The honest answer is, it depends. It depends on how much time you invest. It depends on your native language. If your native language is similar to English, you may progress faster. It depends on your learning environment and the methods you use. But as a general guide, with serious, consistent practice, say 1 to 2 hours per day, most people can reach B2 in about 2 to 3 years, and C1 in about 4 to 5 years. C2 takes longer, perhaps 7 to 10 years of serious engagement with the language. But these are not fixed numbers. I have seen people reach B2 in 1 year with total immersion and intense study, and I have seen people remain at A2 for 10 years because they never pushed themselves. The variable is not time. The variable is intensity, quality, and consistency of practice. I also want to talk about motivation, because motivation is the fuel that makes everything else possible. Without it, even the best strategy will fail. There are 2 kinds of motivation. Extrinsic motivation, external rewards like passing an exam, getting a job, satisfying a requirement. Extrinsic motivation is useful, it gets you started, but it is not enough to carry you through the long middle of the journey. Intrinsic motivation, the internal desire to grow, to connect, to express, to discover, this is the fuel that lasts. And the beautiful thing about language learning is that the more you learn, the more intrinsically motivating it becomes, because you start to experience the rewards directly. You understand a film without subtitles for the first time. You have a real conversation with someone from another country. You read a poem and feel its beauty in English. You write something that expresses exactly what you mean. These moments are unforgettable and they build on each other. Find your why. Why do you want to learn English? Write it down. Put it somewhere you can see it. Is it to communicate with your children who grew up speaking English? Is it to study at a university? Is it to travel freely? Is it to access more professional opportunities? Is it simply because you love the language and you want to understand its great literature and culture? Whatever your reason, own it, honor it, let it guide you on the days when the path is difficult. Now let me give you a simple weekly learning plan that you can start immediately after listening to this video. This plan works for all levels. Adapt it to where you are now. Monday, grammar day. Spend 20 to 30 minutes focusing on one grammar point. Study it. Write 5 sentences using it. Try to use it in conversation during the day. Tuesday, vocabulary day. Learn 10 to 20 new words using spaced repetition. Study them in context, not just the word, but a sentence using the word. Review your old vocabulary cards. Wednesday, listening day. Listen to 15 to 30 minutes of English content. A podcast, a TED Talk, an audiobook chapter. Focus on understanding the main idea. Try to catch specific phrases and vocabulary. Thursday, reading day. Read an article, a blog post, or a chapter of a book in English. Read slowly. When you find new words, look them up and record them. Read for pleasure, not just for study. Friday, speaking day. Speak for 15 to 30 minutes in English. This could be with a tutor, a conversation partner, or speaking to yourself. Try to use the grammar point from Monday and some of the vocabulary from Tuesday. Saturday, writing day. Write a paragraph or a page in your English journal. Write about something that happened this week. Or write a summary of something you read or watched. Focus on clear, complete sentences. Sunday, immersion and rest day. This is not a structured study day, but stay in English, watch an English film, listen to English music, read for pleasure. Let the language flow naturally without pressure. This is a balanced, sustainable plan. It covers all 4 skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and gives your brain different kinds of practice each day. Variety keeps learning alive. Variety keeps you interested. I also want to say something about making mistakes. I have mentioned it before in this video, but I want to say it once more clearly at the end because it is so important. Making mistakes is not failure. Making mistakes is learning. Every mistake you make in English tells your brain something important. It tells your brain this pattern needs adjustment, this word needs correction, this pronunciation needs work. Your brain files the mistake, compares it against what you know, and updates its model. This is how learning physically works in the brain. The people who progress fastest in English are not the most careful speakers. They are the most willing speakers. They speak more, make more mistakes, and therefore get more feedback from native speakers, from teachers, from their own reflection. Every mistake is data, and data is gold. So speak, make mistakes, laugh at yourself when you need to, then correct, and speak again. Finally, I want to say something personal. I want to say something that goes beyond language learning techniques and grammar rules. English is the most widely spoken language in the world. Over 1.5 billion people use it regularly. It is the language of science, technology, international business, diplomacy, and global culture. When you speak English well, you do not just gain a skill, you gain access. Access to ideas, to people, to opportunities that would otherwise be closed to you. But even more than that, when you learn a new language deeply, you also gain something very intimate. You gain a new way of seeing the world. Because language is not just a code for reality. Language shapes reality. The English language, with its vast vocabulary, its idioms, its literature, its humor, offers a particular way of thinking about the world, a particular set of images and metaphors and assumptions. And as you absorb that way of seeing, you do not lose who you are. You expand who you are. You become bilingual, not just in sound, but in thought. You hold 2 worlds inside you. And that is one of the most extraordinary things a human being can do. We have reached the end of our journey together today. And what a journey it has been. We started at A1, where you said your first hello and learned how to count and introduce yourself. We moved through A2, where everyday life in English started to become possible. We climbed to B1, where real conversation began and your voice started to grow. We pushed through the B1 to B2 transition, mastering the art of conversation, learning how to hold your own in any exchange. We entered B2, where grammar became a tool for nuance and the vocabulary started to feel truly alive. We arrived at C1, where the psychology of fluency became as important as the language itself, and where the beauty of precise expression began to emerge. And we reached the summit, C2, where language becomes art, where English is no longer something you do, but something you are. You have spent the last hour, or maybe more, with me. And I want you to know that this time was not wasted. Every word you heard today was a seed. Some of those seeds will sprout immediately. Others will lie quietly and grow slowly beneath the surface. But every single one is real. Every single one is yours. I want to leave you with this thought. The most important word in language learning is not vocabulary or grammar or pronunciation. The most important word is continue. Continue when it is hard. Continue when you are tired. Continue when you feel like you are not improving. Continue when you make the same mistake for the 100th time. Continue. Because the people who master English are not the most talented, they are the most persistent. They are the ones who wake up on a hard day and open their notebook anyway, who listen when they do not understand, who speak when they are afraid. You are already on the path. You started this video, you listened, you engaged. That is not nothing, that is everything. That is the first step and the most important step. Now take the next one. My name is Maya. This is the Speaking Momentum, and I believe in you. Keep speaking, keep learning, keep growing. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.